Today's episode is sponsored by Vitality Health RX Supplements. Whether you're an athlete, a busy professional, or just someone looking to prioritize health, Vitality Health RX has what you need. With premium ingredients and rigorous quality control, their supplements support your body's natural functions. Visit shopvrx.com and use code FEELGREAT15 for 15% off your first order. Thanks to Vitality Health RX for sponsoring this episode. Now let's dive in.
Have you ever felt exhausted but wired? Or like your body is constantly bracing for something, even when nothing's wrong? You're not crazy. Your nervous system is just stuck in a stress survival loop. Your body isn't broken. It's just stuck in survival mode. Burnout, anxiety, chronic pain, and even autoimmune issues are often linked to a dysregulated nervous system. You can rewire your nervous system to shift from stress to healing. Hello and welcome to the Feel Better, Feel Great podcast, episode 154, The Nervous System Reset, How to Break the Stress Loop and Heal Faster. In each episode, we dive into the wonders of holistic health and functional medicine to empower you with the knowledge you need to lead a healthier, happier life. I'm your host, Dr. Andrea McSwain. If you're new to me, please like, subscribe, and click the bell for this channel, Dr. McSwain. Please remember that the information provided in this podcast is for educational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your physician with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or health objectives. So, why your body is always on high alert? The stress loop problem. First of all, here's a little physiology. Okay, there's something called the autonomic nervous system. You guessed it right. It's autonomic, if you will. It's going to connect all the pieces together, right? So it gets you into fight or flight or rest and repair. And when your body gets stuck in survival mode, it stays in fight or flight. And it does not go into rest and repair, okay? And so we stay in the primal brain. So our thinking, our emotions are all geared and all gearing our body for protection. This becomes the hidden stress cycle. And some people never fully relax, even when they're asleep or take a break. Some people don't think they're stressed. And so you have to be careful as a physician, right? Because you can't just use the same word for everything because people just don't resonate with that word, right? Sometimes they don't. In fact, I had a patient with Alzheimer's some years ago, and she denied having any stress. I would use the word, and she was the most adamant protester of this word. She said, I don't have stress. I said, oh, okay. Okay. I need to stop saying it then, quite honestly. She was a stay-at-home mom with 3 girls. She was in a loving marriage, and her husband was the breadwinner. She told me she didn't have any stress, but her family told me otherwise. They recounted the spoon. And when you said the spoon, they all had this the spoon, this whisper that went along with it. I guess when they were all girls throughout their childhood, she would carry a wooden spoon around. And one time the girls were acting up in the back of the car. She went to hit them with the spoon, and the spoon got caught in the steering wheel, okay, while they're driving. So although my patient never resonated with the word stress, she was very much on all the time, and she had a significant amount of internal stress. Externally, maybe everything felt really good. They lived a comfortable life, but internally, she had constantly stayed in primal mode in fight or flight. And chronic stress doesn't always feel like stress, and she definitely told me that, it can show up as brain fog, lack of focus. And in some cases, it can lead to a stress that leads to brain dysregulation, right, or deterioration of an organ, which is dementia or Alzheimer's. There can be stress showing up in muscle tension. That can be chronic muscle tension, TMJ issues, headaches, eye pain from eye strain. Basically, the body just stacks all this tension together to start to kind of handle the stress. It becomes like this block. And so it's very well documented in something called a ram's horn muscle headache, a muscular headache, where it can go all the way up the back, all the way up the scalp, right? And into even the eye. And I've seen this. Other times I've seen chronic stress appear as not just TMJ, but locking along with the ear, causing buzzing in the ear, tinnitus, and really significant disruptions to a lot of the cranial nerves that are in and around this temporal bone. And so it's not stress, right? But it's absolutely stress. Poor digestion and bloating. Okay, the nervous system tells the gut what to do. So if the nervous system is stressed, it's also if the nervous system stays in fight or flight, then we won't have rest and digest. The nervous system, the blood supply, if they're in fight or flight, we're going to see a significant amount of reduction in the gut and its ability to do its job, because the body will shut down these parts for rest and repair when it has to be in fight or flight. Now, then there's other things of fatigue despite doing all the right things. Okay. Sometimes people tell me that they sleep fine except for when they're awake in the middle of the night because they have to write a check to someone or they have to make notes or about something. And it's like, well, keeping that brain on is not solving the world's problems. And that's what I think. My grandmother and I would talk. Sometimes we say, well, now we solved the world's problems. And I think when people tell me that they're awake in the middle of the night, ruminating over things that they cannot change because they're sleeping or supposed to be sleeping and everybody else is supposed to be sleeping. So when they're ruminating, nothing good is happening. And that's another thing about stress. This is kind of like a little secret that I have seen in my clinic about chronic stress. And that is the people who chew on their mouths or they ruminate just when they're thinking. They're not eating, okay? They're just moving and they have this oral shifting that's going on. And all this tension is lodging and dysregulating the brain and all the muscles and nerves that are communicating to the brain. And that is, if you see someone doing that, that is very much a stress response. Another stress response is tapping the foot all the time, tapping or shifting, right? If this was their foot, they're just going crazy like this. That is stress. And they might, I'm not stressed. What are you talking about? Because I've said this many times, particularly to some family members. And I'm like, maybe that could you could put your foot down and you kind of feel that grounding in the earth. To kind of slow that. And they're like, I'm not stressed. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, or I see it in the airport. I see it in the airport. I'm like, oh, okay, I can't sit next to that person. I need to be somewhere else because that agitation that they have is affecting their nervous system. And then I'm watching that agitation, right? And I'm just too empathetic to be that close to someone who I don't know, who I can't help, and who won't listen to me and my suggestions about not doing that. You might find other things that are little cues, particularly for the people that you care for and love. And that is important because if you start to see those repetitive actions that show you the person is stressed. Another one that people don't talk about, and it has a medical term, it's trichotillomania. And basically people will pull on their eyelashes and their eyebrows to the point that they remove hair as a way to reduce stress or as an agitation. And if that's the case, obviously it's a habit based in stress and it's good to acknowledge in a very loving way, in a very private way, because this is something that can contribute to body dysmorphia as well. And so we need to be responsible when we might be seeing our loved ones with their stress nuances, that it's very important for them to start to recognize that these are the stress factors and how they're expressing their stress so that you can recognize how to support them, particularly for your children, or if you're in a sandwich generation, you're taking care of older family members or things, that you really are going to ultimately also affect you. Another thing that's very stressful is if you feel like You're not measuring up in life. That can be very stressful. So if you don't think you're enough, basically is very significant stress. And you can sometimes hear that in people's wording. They're always apologizing, even just for being normal, like doing normal things, like sorry to bother you when they're no bother. Sorry to, blah, blah, blah. So that is a really significant mental stress, right? An expression. And of course, a physical stress is chronic pain, joint pain, just ankles, feet, everywhere there's a part of a body, it can hurt. Forearms, hands, and they just hurt and ache, and that's a stress. So there are hidden stressors in modern life, and they contribute to the nervous system being dysregulated. For many of you who are working on maintaining focus, on having your designated time to do your tasks, and you have your schedule and things like that, modern life can sometimes kind of make you crazy. Basically, it's so stressful to have constant notifications, buzzers and beeps and alarms, and they're going like nonstop. Like I have to turn my email off when I work on preparing for a podcast because I cannot have 20 dings go off when I'm trying to think about something and then be able to convey it effectively. But it's constant, right? Being buzzed, alarmed, Also, some of the things in modern life, right? The overworking element. You could argue that a lot of people have been overworked in life. And of course, the overwork, I would say, is some of the metabolic overwork, like the constant light exposure. And, we hear noises, we hear light, we have all this sensory overload. I was recently watching my daughter. We were talking about social media. I was watching her feed or repost or something, and everything went so fast. And I was like, I remember watching the movie Frozen when my daughter was 2. We went to the movie theater and we sat really close because it was full. And it was very difficult for me because of the amount of frames that were fed so fast. I had really been removed from movies and even a lot of TV due to med school and just living my own life. And when I went into this movie, it was the first movie I ever took her to. So I had not been to a cartoon kids movie, like ever, in the movie theater, probably ever. And I just sat there and I was like, it was like my eyeballs were blinking fast. It was just really like completely overwhelming. And I see some of these scene changes happen so fast. And I think that's part of the overwork. It's just sensory overload. Also, there is a lot that's going on in a lot of people's lives. So there are triggers and trauma and micro stresses. People will come into my practice and they talk about grief and how they have a loss, and sometimes they have a loss that happens shortly thereafter. And so these griefs can kind of add up like a tidal wave, and they can be very overwhelming without time for recovery. So I just think about that. If you have experienced loss or pain or significant life changes, sometimes they're not even extremely significant, but they just keep coming in, right? Like just a tidal wave, another wave, and there's no reprieve. And that is important to recognize because sometimes this can even happen with too much of a good thing. And I remember particularly a patient who had, you could say, too much of a good thing. Loving wife, beautiful young children, great job, supportive community, everything. And the cup overfloweth. And when the cup overfloweth, people often feel bad that they feel stress from this and they don't want to complain because everything is so good and how other people have situations that are so much more difficult than them. And yet they have this constant stream of these little stresses. They get pulled this way and pulled that way, and they have to oftentimes not prioritize what they need or what their body needs, right? They pulled over here and pulled over there and pulled over there and pulled over there. And I don't know, maybe that just sounds like medical residency for some of you if you've been through that, either a spouse or a child or yourself, or you've, have been obligated to something that's required a lot of your attention. I have a friend who works in the film industry, and the work schedule is daunting, right? If anyone is an actor or on the movie scenes, you have 16, 18 hours a day, right? You have to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning and da, da, da. And I remember one time watching this music video from J-Lo. And I mean, J-Lo's remarkable, right? I mean, kudos to you, J-Lo. But she had done this interview after this midnight shooting of a video. What you could tell because it was dark. It was a very metropolis area, but there was no one there. So who knows what time she was there in the middle of the night, having to work, right, and perform, and she just has so much energy. The interview though, she was exhausted, and of course her cup overfloweth in so many good ways. And she was doing something she loved. They had made a decision for her to work overnight. She made that decision, as she is in charge of so many decisions, and yet she was really tired. And so you get in these situations. So a lot of times our workload, pilots, flight attendants, people who wake up extremely early, in my opinion, to go to work, people who have to work into the second or the third shift, or night workers, that is really destructive to your nervous system. And you have to work really hard when you're a night shift worker. I know we have our wonderful nurse, Rochelle, and she, as most nurses, have to start in the night shift. And it is so hard for them. A young nurse just out of nursing school, assigned in the night shift, right? And there's so much that can go on. It's very taxing on them. Here they've got their degree, they're nurses, which is a beautiful profession. They've got their job and they're assigned to the night shift. And then it's like, wow, it just punches you in the face. It's so difficult. And the reason I'm possibly belaboring this, you could argue that I'm belaboring it, is just because what is resonating for you, right? Like, you have to pick what's resonating for you, because again, some people don't have stress, but they have all these symptoms. I'm not stressed, but I hear that quite a bit in my practice. So I did want to elaborate on that and give you some stories, because even just looking at some of the things that modern life gives us, and then some of what it takes from us as well, some of the elements that it takes from us. And then, of course, we see a significant over-reliance on stimulants, caffeine, where people are drinking, double, quadruple shots. This is you if you have a latte with a red eye, right? Or you're adding Red Bull to caffeine, or you're just drinking Red Bull, Mountain Dew. It keeps us going, but it's at a cost. And that stress will then lead to some nervous system dysregulation. This could also be if your back aches, if you have nausea. I mean, these are the things that you kind of need help seeing sometimes. So that's why I brought them up. But then you look at, all those areas. Really, if you have a chronic symptom, we're looking at how the nervous system is stressed. There's hormone dysregulation, metabolic dysregulation, chronic pain. These are all affecting the nervous system. They can lead to anxiety, mood swings, chronic pain and tension, poor digestion, food sensitivities, autoimmune flare-ups, because the immune system and the nervous system are so tightly regulated unless you know how to deregulate them, or rather, you know how to separate them so that they can actually both get better. And that is a very interesting concept when you look at how the nervous system and the immune system have an intimate relationship with your overall health and well-being and longevity. Okay, so first of all, what do we do to get started? Well, if you're recognizing, quote, the candle is burning at both ends, quote, it's not going to stop on its own, right? You have to change the mindset so you are in control of your body. And sometimes that just means just taking a breath, right? Sometimes it means just feeling your feet on the ground or the floor. Sometimes it means looking up to the sky and seeing a blue sky, or maybe looking at the trees for a few minutes and just allowing some of your senses to get you some more objective information. And I'll talk about that along with some other things with the nervous system reset. So the very first thing, as I said, is gain some objectivity with your senses. First of all, people focus a lot with their vision. They either stare, they kind of zone in. The brain has a lot of occupation with the visual sense. And so you want to think about your other senses: hearing, touching, smelling, right? How the light comes in. I mean, these are, all of your senses. You want to take a break from a visual obligation. And that will help your brain start to gather some more information in, and that objectivity will keep you in your thinking frontal brain, start to calm things down, start to balance things out. Okay, so I kind of feel my feet against the earth or the ground. It's very helpful for me. Okay, so that's touch, right? I will look outside to the sky. I say in my head, the sky is blue. I live in a town where the sky actually is not blue most of the time. But in my mind's eye, the sky is blue. And it gives me a moment, I'm kind of looking up at it right now and out the window. It's like, okay, the sky is blue. Okay, the sky is blue. And it's just that little break. It's like that little reset of the nervous system. Just like, oh, yeah. And then you notice what I did, right? I exhaled. And I think the exhale first method is imperative to releasing tension. So you start to get into this little cascade of nervous system reset. The breath is voluntary for a reason. It helps us reset. And the power of breath is available to you, right? It can help you support the pump of the chest. It can help you release the waste of CO2. Then what happens? Okay, the muscles start to be kind of like, oh yeah, I haven't really moved in a little while, right? So you're like, okay, well maybe I feel my bicep, I feel my quad, I feel my glutes. When I'm breathing, I'm also kind of feeling, hey, there was some tension in my back or my shoulders or, my hands, right? People get a little grippy. And your muscles, I need you to think about them for them to work for the most part. They really need you to think about them until they get the right programming to work efficiently. And when we're in a nervous system dysregulation, we can reset the nerves to reset the muscles. So sometimes that messaging from the muscles to the brain will then help us get the brain to tell the muscles what to do. And then we're starting to disband some of the overwhelm. Another great one is to feel the heart. The heart can tell the brain what to do. So connecting to your heartbeat makes you be in your body, think about what you need, and there's a beautiful rhythm to the heartbeat. When you use the heart and the heartbeat, there's synapses that go from the heart to the brain that are very calming and restorative. So now within a moment's time, you've gone into your mind. You've gone into objective appreciation of your senses. You've connected to your breath, your muscles, your heart. And then you may find in the gut nervous system connection that your gut might start to support digesting and resting. When we are calm, our gut works and we help process the waste, and that helps support our nervous system. Very important in those respects. So the nervous system is a system. It is a part of our body. Our body has a lot of systems. I think of the nervous system as an overarching system, circulatory and immune, as overarching systems that are part of every other system. And so the circulatory, the nervous, and the immune system all really go throughout the entire body and all the other systems. So musculoskeletal, gastrointestinal, cardiovascular. You could discuss that. You could narrow that in a little bit, but it's okay. And then, when we look at how to organize these things, we need a system. And so I like to look at the nervous system, give direction to that, and then see how that supports the consequences and the shifting throughout the whole body. And just as you saw with those tips, you could really be resetting the nervous system in just a matter of moments. And those moments start to add up to days of being calm and transitioning the body from survival mode to healing mode. Because when we're in restore and repair and there's a balance there, then we really can focus on the healing process. If you've noticed in this presentation, in this podcast, the tension, stress, symptomatology that you're experiencing, if this is you, you'll want to retrain your nervous system for resilience, strength. You'll want to be guided by a step-by-step reset protocol, and you'll want to receive ongoing support to personalize your healing journey. So we've talked about how your nervous system holds the key to energy, resilience, and healing, and how it's an overarching system for your entire body, mind, and emotions. We've unpacked so many people feeling stuck in stress mode, dealing with chronic fatigue that doesn't go away, brain fog and lack of focus, pain, inflammation, tension that won't fully release, digestive issues, anxiety, and burnout, all are connected to the nervous system dysregulation. And now you understand what's happening, which is important. You want to understand, too, that it's important to look at setting a goal, and it's important to understand how you can frame your baseline when you do this nervous system reset so that you can actually optimize and go from feeling better to feeling great. Here's the thing. Understanding doesn't change anything unless you take action. If you don't start making shifts now, your body will keep running on the same patterns. If you don't reset your nervous system, your stress response will keep holding you back and making it worse. If you don't start supporting your mitochondria, your energy will keep declining. That's why I'm so excited to tell you that the doors to the Feel Better, Feel Great membership are officially open. This is your opportunity to stop cycling through temporary fixes and start making real, lasting changes. Inside the Feel Better, Feel Great membership, we dive deep into topics and systems and strategies that we've covered in these episodes: burnout recovery, cellular repair and longevity, nervous system reset, metabolism, hormones, gut health, and more. Also, you can take control of your health in a step-by-step manner. And for the first time, you don't have to figure it out all on your own. Inside the membership, you'll have access to deep dive lessons and masterclasses so you truly understand what's happening in your body. Step-by-step protocols so you know exactly what to do without overwhelm. Live Q&A hot seat group sessions with me so you get real-time answers and guidance. An engaged, supportive community so you don't feel like you're figuring this out all alone. And right now, there's a window of opportunity that won't be here forever. If you join today, you lock in the lowest price this will ever be. The investment in yourself today is a fraction of what it will be later. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you wait, your body doesn't pause. Your symptoms don't take a break. The longer you wait, the longer it takes to undo the stress, fatigue, and metabolic slowdown that's already in place. The best time to start feeling better is now. Please go to the link in the description right now to join. I don't want you to keep spinning your wheels, feeling stuck, collecting information but never applying it. The truth is, the longer you wait, the longer it takes to heal. Your body is designed to get better when you give it the right support. And that starts today. So go to the link in the description and join us now. I can't wait to see you inside the membership. Let's get started.